Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. We're glad to see you. I hope you're all doing well, keeping warm. If you're up north, keeping cool. If you're here in the south, actually, it's a little chilly here today. Finally, one of the 2 days, I guess, this year that we'll actually get below 80. But no, it has been in the 70s last week.
We've been freezing.
And 70s again today. But it's been cold at night.
Yeah.
Well, what we in Florida consider cold.
Yeah.
So I
low
just
40s.
wanted to say that if you haven't checked out Indie Book Source, go ahead and check out Indie Book Source. There are lots of authors that we brought. What I can't remember the word I'm trying to say. We show you all of their books, okay, and a little bit about them.
Promote.
Showcase. We showcase.
We do that.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Chanel.
Minus 6. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
I recommend stay inside.
Yeah, really.
Good advice, right?
Yeah. Anyway, go to Indie Book Source. We showcase, and that's the word I was looking for, a lot of authors. A lot of the authors that you've met here on Meet the Author podcast are also on Indie Book Source. You can find their books. You can find links on where to buy their books. And each one has their own page, and you can find lots of stuff there. Some of them have a lot more books than are on the website. We wouldn't be able to maintain that large of a website.
Right.
So just check it out.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good resource for finding books from many authors, and lots of resources for you there, and lots of genres. You can find anything you want.
Definitely. If you click on the authors tab, you can scroll down through the list. There's like around 100 authors that are featured.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know the name of an author that you think is on our website, you can search that very easily. And then if you go to the genre tab, you can look at all the different genres, and you can see all the book covers. And then if you click on the bottom of the book cover, you'll go right to that author's page.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty easy to do. We also have the author the promotions page, if you're interested in listing your books. Also, we have the Meet the Author podcast page, which has all the audios on it that you can listen to every podcast, and a link to the YouTube as well. And then we have our merchandise store as well. So there's a lot to do there, like fun on a Saturday evening or something, right?
Now, Marjorie Daring says it's 4 degrees here, 6 degrees higher than Chanel's. Enjoying my cup of cocoa, and I are ready for this episode.
There you go.
We are too. And James,
hey,
says hi, Rob and Joan Carter.
there you go.
Hi, James. Hi, James Rickard.
A couple other things to hit before we
Bring out
Joe
Congel.
Mr. Congel. Episode rewind, 5:30 p.m. on Saturdays. I think we're up to number 8 this coming Saturday. We'll be right where you're at watching right now. And you can watch the episode 8 with Jim Hartzell and Ralph Peterson. That was a fun show. And let's see, Rochester, New York Winter Parafest, March 25th to the 27th. If you're interested in going, you want to get your tickets ahead of time. If you can, it's a fundraiser for Veterans Outreach in the Rochester, New York area there. Go to rochesterparafest.org for more information.
Tom Nelly says, hi.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom. Oh, you brought your chair. I was going to ask you, but yep, it's there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's kind of small, but mighty. It's
Glad you
small
could come
but mighty.
Well,
all right, without much ado, why don't we bring on in Joe
Congel.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the Madhouse.
Thank you so much. Before we get started, there is something I did want to express.
Sure.
I just wanted to tell you how sorry I was that you had to endure 70-degree weather. You know, I know that was a hardship for you, and I just wanted to express that.
We do appreciate it.
You know,
we do appreciate it. We had to put on coats.
I felt bad when you said that it dipped below 80. I didn't know how to respond. I just felt that.
Well,
that's
look,
terrible.
it was on the 40s last night, and we had to like layer. You know, you have to layer to stay warm.
Right.
You know,
I understand.
Yep. It's terrible. It's terrible.
James says, "Greetings, Joe."
Hey, James, how are you?
Yeah, though, to tell you the truth, when you're used.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
Chanel says, "I'm crying on the inside." I bet you are. You're at minus what? You're minus six. So yikes. No, well, we did that for lots of years.
Yes, I grew up in Chicago, and Joan grew up in Boston. So
I always look forward to the winter when it is cooler, because honestly, when it's been over 80 degrees, 300 and something, 24 days in a row, you're like, yeah, get me out of here.
It's sad. I get it. Yeah, I understand.
Well, we did. We went to the mountains a few times.
Yeah, we went up into your neck of the woods, Joe.
Gotcha.
The Franklin area.
Went
there.
to Franklin.
Not kind of close to you, but
went to the mountains in Tennessee.
Yeah, went up to Tennessee as well. So
yeah, to the Great Smokies. Yeah, because it gets hot after a while. You're just like,
oh, I understand. It's terrible. I got you.
I don't ever want to shovel snow again.
No, we don't even have a snow shovel anymore.
I have no words.
Well, did you had to shovel recently, right?
As a matter of fact, we had a bit of a storm on Monday. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was very icy and snowy. It of course, being in Charlotte, North Carolina, it shuts everything down for the most part when that happens, because we're not every year you hear, well, we're not used to it, but it seems to happen a lot, at least since I've been down here. Now, the last couple of years, not so bad, but it's we're due again this Friday apparently, so we'll see how that goes. But but it's been like today wasn't bad. We got up to 56 degrees or so today, and it'll probably freeze again overnight. But it's different, you know, from what I'm used to up north. But it still can get you, because I've been down here a long time now, and you get acclimated to, you know, different weather.
Where you're at.
You do.
Yeah,
you do, faster than you'd think.
Down here, your blood thins out. It really does.
It literally thins out. It literally thins out. Marjorie Daring says, "Oops, I guess that means it's a whole 10 degrees higher here." Sorry, Chanel. Yeah, you're having a heat wave there, Marjorie.
Yeah.
Compared to Chanel. Well,
that should have given you a lot of time to write. What?
Yeah.
Staying inside and trying to stay warm. Why don't we talk about like your first book, and tell everybody? I think it's Dead is Forever, right?
Correct. Yeah, Dead is Forever was a 20-year labor of love, essentially. Started that back in 1995 and worked on it for a while. Pretty much got most of it done, and then shelved it for a while because I got busy with, I guess, raising a couple of kids, or helping out raising some kids. And just, it took my eye off the ball when it came to the writing for quite a while. And then I decided to get back into it. Back in 2017, I think, is really when I started getting serious about wanting to do it again, and finished it, but had to do a lot of updates on the book regarding, you know, bringing it back into, I guess now this time, because it wasn't really a period piece, but it became a period piece. So I needed to fix some things. So did that, got that out there. That book, the Tony Resolito, who is what this whole series is based on his adventures as a PI, but he was that's my daughter. I was in the picture. But she was.
Okay, so Rita says she was in the picture. LOL.
Right. So I had to put the other aside because she showed up. But
there you go.
But,
I was in the picture.
I thought maybe you had a movie we didn't know about.
What
or something.
picture?
No. Yes.
But I get it. You were in the mix, so to speak.
All of a sudden, yes. So anyways, he's an amateur essentially in the first book. He's not even a detective in the first book in the beginning. He's an out of work appliance salesman is what he really is. And based on events, he decides that he's going to really get into a profession that he truly loved, and ends up helping his best friend, who happens to be a police officer, solve a crime. The crime happens to be his wife's murder, which I can talk about because it happens in the very first chapter. But it so because this book is not really a whodunit as much as it's a why done it, how done it, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So much different approach to that story than the books that followed. So that's really how I got the start on it was through there.
Well, and I'm going to throw up the cover. It says Dead is Forever, and it says Tony Rosalito PI story by Joe Congel, just for those that are listening and can't see all these great pictures. So then along came Deadly Passion, another Rosalito PI. Right.
Yeah, and that's the second book in the series, but there was a 3-story short story compilation in between those that really kind of helps with the timeline because Deadly Passion takes place roughly about 5 years after Dead is Forever takes place. And by the time Deadly Passion takes place, he's already a more seasoned detective. He's relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where the rest of the series will take place. And he's partnered up with the PI that really kind of helped him learn the ropes to be a PI and who helped him in the first case. So that one right there, yes, that one kind of helps bridge the gap between the timelines. It lets you kind of understand how he can, in Dead is Forever, be very green and not know what he's doing. And then the very next book, he's an expert. So by reading the Razman Chronicles, you really get a taste of what he was up to in those 5 years in between with those 3 stories.
Okay, so that is the Razman Chronicles, the trio of Tony Rosalito PI short stories. So
recommended reading is Dead is Forever and then the Razman Chronicles.
Right. Now, and the thing with that is you could really read them as standalones. I mean, they really can be done that way. Sure. It's just that some things will make a little bit more sense, and I think it's more enjoyable if you do it, through from beginning to end.
And there's more character development and,
story flow.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I agree with that.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, and Deadly Passion becomes more of a whodunit at that point as well. So, there's a lot of clues throughout the book to kind of help you play along and try to figure it out. And I hope a twist at the end that people don't see coming, early enough on. I tried to masquerade that as much as possible as we went along, but yet have you go at the end. Oh my God. Yes, that makes sense now. So, that's really what Deadly Passion was. And that's the one that I really felt helped me grow more as an author as far as what you could see from book 1 through those 3 stories and then to that book there, with the development of the characters and hopefully I got better at writing. So that's really where we were there. So
okay, so what we're saying is Deadly Passion.
Yep.
Then we're saying
Dead
Forever.
Yep.
Then the Razman Chronicles. And then Deadly Passion, and Joe's saying you don't really have to read it in those orders because they all stand alone, but this will help you understand what's going on better.
Which one of those is your favorite, Joe?
Well, of those 3, Deadly Passion, definitely.
Deadly Passion,
no question about it, yeah. And Dead is Forever is considered book 1 in the series, and Deadly Passion is considered book 2. But like I said, the Razman Files in between, it's kind of a Razman Files extra kind of a deal, if you will. So, and I'm going to continue that as a, I guess, a side series along with this as it goes on. So again, don't have to read them in order, but I just think it makes better sense if you do. So
cool.
So I don't know any author who loves their first book the best. So
no, not even close. But
then it's all a work in progress.
Yes. But I do think it's important that people do read that one to get a better idea of where Tony came from and why he wanted to become a PI in the first place. I've actually recently dropped the price of that book too, so there's a good reason to go get it if you hadn't yet. So
there you go.
Yes, just to kind of help people along. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And then we have Leftovers, which would
Favorite?
be next.
Yeah, well, that one there is actually a complete departure from the Razman series at all. It has nothing to do with that. Really, what that is exactly what the name implies. It's stories that I had written, short stories I had written that I just wanted to put them together. It's an eclectic mix. They're not related at all. So there's a mix in there. Like there's some crime stuff in there, but then there's some stuff that's not that way. But there's still a lot of fun, I think, reading those stories. There's a lot of well, there's still some death in there and some killing and some other things that you would get used to if you read the other series. But I just wanted to say that this cover is really cool. It shows a typewriter and it says Leftovers, and then it says a mix of 6 unrelated short stories for those of you that are just listening and can't see what we're talking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, no, I was just saying. And that I enjoyed doing that just because it was a complete departure from what I was doing. So put those together and put it out there just to see what would happen. And that was actually received pretty well because there's some fun stories in there, I think. So.
And I think we did want to touch a little bit upon Once Upon a Wolf Pack and Howling at the Moon.
Yeah, those 2 are anthologies that were put together by a group that I'm a member of called the Wolfpack Authors, and we did those originally we put them together and donated all the proceeds from it to Lockwood. Well, actually, we did 2 different things. The first one was what the donations primarily went to Lockwood Animal, and the second one went to the wildfires in Australia, I think it was, and then we turned around and then donated after that again back to Lockwood. Right now, that is no longer what's going on because there's really no proceeds any longer. We've given everything that we can with those 2 books. So we've recently put those 2 books down to $0, so you can get them for free. So if you hadn't had an opportunity to read those books, now's a great time because it won't cost you anything to get involved with them. What's nice about them is there's a story in there for everybody's taste. Mine, as a matter of fact, in both of those, there's another Razalito story in each one of those. And quite frankly, you don't need to read the Razalito stories that are in there to connect anything with the stories on the books. But if you do, you'll kind of, I don't know if you want to call them Easter eggs or whatever, but there's some things there that do tie back. And so not a bad idea to get those, but there's a lot of other stuff in there too that are not crime related.
About how many stories are in each book, do you know?
Yeah, I think the first one there's like 18 in the first one. I think I think it's 16 stories and 2 poems, if I'm not mistaken, is what's in the first one.
Okay.
The second one there were a few less than that. I don't think there's any poems in the second one, and I think that's down to, I want to say maybe between 12 and 14 stories, I think, in that one. I may be off a little bit, but yeah, the first one is a thicker, fatter book than the second one was.
And they can download those free.
Those are free. Both are free. Yeah.
That is so cool. Okay.
Yeah, download them now, and plus you'll meet a whole lot of new authors, maybe.
Yeah,
you will,
and you can follow up their work and see what
you will, and you'll find maybe a genre that you really enjoy in there. I mean, it's not just all crime stuff in there. I mean, there's a couple of those besides mine, but there's some fantasy in there. There's shapeshifter stuff. There's all kinds of things in there. So the only real difference in the first book was that everything had to tie to the theme of a wolf somehow. So it did not necessarily have to be a wolf as in a wolf, but it had to have some kind of a wolf reference in there. Like mine, one of the characters in there is referred to as the wolf. He's a mobster, and that was his nickname. So that's how I worked the wolf in there. Some others had actual characters, shapeshifter type characters that became wolves and things of that nature. So
cool.
So a lot there. And then the second anthology, Howling at the Moon, was essentially a moon type of theme. So everything had to have moon in there somehow. So
cool.
Yeah, it kind of ties them together, even though they're all completely different stories. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to read.
Everybody download it. It's
Yeah.
free. They're both free.
Yep, a lot of fun to read and free of charge.
And you get introduced to a lot of new authors that you probably haven't read before. So
I think we have it on your indiebooksource.com page.
I think so.
And it's on your a link to it's on your website
Yes.
as well, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go right to my Amazon page, you'll find them there. They're right there too.
Okay. On the Amazon page too.
All right. So
Yeah.
that now brings us to your newest release.
Yes. Yeah. This one just came out, Dirty Air. Should have been out a long time ago, but it just came out. And this one, kind of a labor of love and hate all wrapped into one. It took me a long time to do this for reasons that had nothing to do with the book itself. But it took a lot of research for me on this one too, because it has a somewhat NASCAR theme to it. And I didn't know anything about NASCAR whatsoever, nothing. And, where I grew up in Syracuse, New York, there's not a lot of NASCAR going on up there. So it was never a sport that I really got involved with as far as even just watching it. I never even really watched it on TV, more of a baseball guy, but, so it took some time, for me to really get the details on that one and hopefully get them right. So that took a long time, but I was interrupted over the last couple of years with just a lot of other things going on in my life. Most notably, and I mentioned this the last time I was on, I had kind of a heart scare there a couple of years ago at this point in 2020. And it really kind of threw me for a loop, and it took me out of the game for quite a while. It turned out everything was okay, which is the good thing. But until I got that word, I was a basket case for a while, and it really truly took me out of writing and a lot of other things as far as what I wanted to do. So now that is really pretty much behind me, I'm hoping that going forward in 2022, there's nothing that's going to interrupt me from going full steam ahead. So.
God help us all.
There you go.
Second year, we've said that.
Yes.
By the way, Rita says, your daughter says, yay, but I don't think it was about your heart attack. I think it was about your book coming out.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that too, with the heart thing is, I had to get well, I can't even think of it now, but, some cardio tests and things of that nature, just to make sure that everything was okay. But like I said, it was scary to me, even though everybody around me kept saying I was blowing it out of proportion. But easy for them to say, they weren't living through it.
That's support for you. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, they might have been right. So that was the thing. But it just, I mean, really, what it came down to is I had taken a calcium scoring test, and it came back off the charts high, and that made me kind of really want to look a bit deeper into it, because my dad had 2 stents put in at roughly the age I am now, and so it kind of made sense for me to go get the test in the first place, so that I could really see if I was okay, or if I had anything I should start kind of looking at. And when those numbers came back the way they did, it just, like I said, it kind of threw me into a tizzy for a while. So
yeah,
sure, I bet it did. Oh,
okay.
Goodness.
Marjorie just said something funny. I was chuckling at that.
That's
what you were saying. Marjorie said, researching allows us to write about things we're not familiar with. Yep. Thank goodness, because I've never murdered anyone.
Well, that's good to know, Marjorie.
I guess that's a good point, Marjorie. Yeah, I guess that, but it's fun. But it is fun because, and I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only writer with this, but if you ever searched through, or if you ever looked through what I search on my phone or in my computer, I mean, you'd think I was a serial killer with some of the stuff I'm looking up at times. How to stab somebody in the right place, and how much would it bleed out, and this, and how long would it take? And, there's a lot sometimes to getting that right, because people will call you out on it if it's not right. That's the fun part about that. But, so I agree. I mean, the doing the research helps, whether it's something you don't know a lot about, like NASCAR, or maybe just trying to figure out how to kill a guy.
Right. Chanel said she has a stent. She had a heart attack at 43. That's young.
Yeah.
The second time she nearly died.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it can be obviously life altering and life changing, but even when you have something where it turns out that everything turned out okay, it still makes you rethink some things as far as what your priorities are, what's important in life, and
it does.
That, yeah,
it absolutely does, because it throws your mind into, you're actually there. Like for you were actually there.
Yes. Yeah.
So it does make you rethink a lot of things because it was real for you.
It was, and I kind of had a 1-2 punch in how I was thinking about changing some things, anyways. And I mean, that was one of it. One was I started having grandkids and wanted to get more time away from the type of life I'd been leading when it came to work and the hours I was working and putting in. And then the second was the heart scare. So between those two, last year, actually right around this time last year, actually, I walked away from what was, in my opinion, a pretty good career, and really with a great company, and just kind of stepped down into a role that gave me more time off. It gave me a little bit more ability to spend that time with my grandkids, and not work, I guess, as hard as I was when it came to spending the time away from home and all those kind of things. So that all kind of played into that, and got me to a spot where I was thinking differently, maybe sooner, maybe a couple years sooner than I probably would have. So
there you go.
Before we take our break,
we've got I'm sorry, we've got a question for you.
Yeah, this is good old Dave.
Yeah, so those of you that are listening, I'll read it so you'll know what we're talking about here. Dave Murray says, a 2-part question for Joe. 1, you're a very funny man. Why don't you use more humor in your writing? He does use humor in some of his writing, and he is really funny, actually. Read his bio. It's hilarious. And 2, whatever happened to the Promise spinoff about the informant character, Davy Murray?
Oh,
I think you have a vested interest in this, Dave.
Yeah, he kind of does. Well, let me put it like this. I really can't do a spinoff of Davy Murray's character, and you'd have to read Deadly Passion to find out why. So if you've read Deadly Passion, you already know why. If you haven't, then
read it to find out
read
why.
it and you'll find out why. Yes. As a matter of fact, Dave and I were talking about that not too long ago, and he wants me to somehow reincarnate him into some other form and make it work.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he should write his own book. Oh wait, he did.
Oh.
But yeah, he actually wrote a book called House Training Your VCR way back in the day when people were using VCRs, and I did the illustrations for that book, cartoon type illustrations. And Dave's also a very funny man. He used to tell me that if I didn't get the illustrations done on time, he was going to hang my children out the window. So he's pretty hilarious himself.
So James Rickard says in the 60s, there was a newscaster in Pittsburgh named Dave Murray.
Yeah, it could be the same guy. Dave's pretty old.
You, Dave? So. And Dave Murray says you can always do a prequel. Well, he didn't say always do a prequel. I said that. He said prequel.
I guess I could. I mean, his character, it was integral to that story, but he wasn't really a main character on any level. And how that turned out was probably in the best interest of Davy Murray. So,
he could always have a character named Joey. Right?
I could do that. Well, actually,
Dave could do
exactly.
Joey.
Well, actually, the funny thing about that is there is a character named Joe in Dead Is Forever. That's actually the police officer that Tony hooks up with, and it's funny because Joe, who a lot of people at first thought it was based on you. Well, no, not really, because the Joe in the story is like 6'4" and he's solid rock muscle kind of guy, and that's really not me. And anybody that knows me, anybody that knows me knows that's completely the opposite of me. So there is a Joe actually out there already. So. And he's probably not going to have the same fate as Davy Murray. So
I just want to say one more thing before we go to commercial.
Sure.
And that is that we are waiting for an Amazon delivery, and we have this little 9-pound ball of fury who will absolutely go ballistic if it happens. So if we mute ourselves and Joe has to talk all by himself, you'll know why.
For the rest of this show.
No, not for the rest of the show, just till she's...
No.
I can settle her down.
Get the dog's jaws off of the leg of the delivery guy.
The toe.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to pause so that you guys can get a question in edgewise to me. That's why. Because I can get them on. Yeah.
Well, now
we have to do a commercial.
Now we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, we'll have our book giveaway, and we'll talk some more with Joe about future stuff.
And some more about
and where you can find him,
Dirty Air.
and more
Yeah,
about
we'll get
Dirty
into
Air.
Dirty Air a little bit
Want to
more.
hear more about that story?
Yeah, we need to
Okay.
talk about that.
Absolutely.
So sit back, relax, and stay tuned.
We'll be right back, folks.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book one of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. Bioprints is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out Bioprints today. And we're back.
And we have a question right off the bat from Chanel for you. What's your favorite late night snacks when you're writing?
It's funny because while I'm actually writing, I don't eat anything. I eat things before and after. Yeah, I know. I just don't.
I eat jelly beans.
Oh,
do you
he
really?
does. He eats jelly beans. I don't eat anything.
Yeah. No, I don't. But as far as snacks in general, one of my favorite things to eat, and this is one of my dirty little secrets, and I don't know if everybody listening in has a Chick-fil-A anywhere near them, but if you ever had their chocolate chip cookies, they are to die for.
Wow.
So that's that to me. I think those are fantastic, and that's
There's nothing bad at Chick-fil-A. Let's
that's
face
true
it.
too.
It's all
And
good.
are they chicken flavored?
No,
they're
they're
No.
chocolate chips. They're chocolate chip flavored, yeah. But they're amazingly good, and people that used to work with me used to laugh because if we ever ordered Chick-fil-A in as a group, I kind of walked around the table and took everybody's cookies if they didn't want them. So,
Gotta have those cookies, man.
Yeah, that's a big one of mine. I do like the Ruffles sour cream and cheddar cheese chips. Those are good. But again, as far as the snacks go, I just when I'm writing, I just don't. I don't know. I have a water sitting next to me for the most part, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, that's okay.
yeah,
That works.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Hey,
I'll get a bowl of jelly beans and put them next to me for next time. That way.
Somebody told me you wanted to give away some books.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah? Okay, let's do it. All right.
Yeah,
Book giveaway. The first 3 people to email jc.rasman@gmail.com will win an ebook of choice.
Right. Correct. And that does include Dirty Air. So if they would like that one because they've got the other ones, I'm fine with that.
All right.
All right. I have to go for a minute to comments here because we have 3 now. Let's see. All right. So Dave Murray says, Joe, I heard you say the Wolfpack books are now free. Is that finally a low enough price for you, John Congel, to buy them?
Ouch.
Yeah. My entire life, my wonderful good friend Dave Murray and another good friend of ours, Jim McClenthan, has always accused me of being very cheap, and that's really not the case. And yes, well, we
don't say
just
cheap,
or just being broke. I mean that too. So it's it's been a running gag for 40 years at this point. So yeah, he likes to bring that up every chance he gets. So
Now Chanel says she's never had Chick-fil-A. It's always so crowded. That is the truth.
It is
Where we
always
live,
packed.
we don't go to ours either, Chanel.
Yeah.
When we're traveling on the road, we usually find some that we can go to.
Yeah.
But where we live, it's really highly concentrated, really a lot of population. And I mean, it's ridiculous. Every time the line is all the way around the building. They have 3 separate lines that you go into, those that have pre-ordered, those who are ordering, those who did an app that.
If you can figure out the lines, you're fine.
Well, you know what's funny about them though is, and I think a lot of people, obviously the chicken is good, but I think also it's one of the few places that I've been through a drive-through, fast food style drive-through restaurant where they don't get the order wrong. They actually do a really good job with that.
Now, let's make it clear. Chick-fil-A is not paying you
or us
to promote that, right?
Or us, because we're saying the same thing.
As far as we know, they are not.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
No, they're not.
Dave says, I heard you're a big poppycock.
All right. Yeah, he's got me on that one. Poppycock is something that I definitely purchase every year around the holidays. It's a really good caramel corn.
Caramel corn, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, if you're not familiar with poppycock, it's great.
You name a caramel corn.
Yeah,
I have tried it because I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Cracker Jacks. That's what I remember from when I was a kid.
It has a toy in it,
Yeah,
that's the big draw.
Well, Dave and I used to. Him, I, and a few other people back in the day when I lived up in Syracuse, we worked at a now defunct electronics store, and we would go next door. There was a Kmart attached to the same building. We would go over there and buy poppycock and bring it back and just sit around eating poppycock all afternoon, waiting for people to come into the store. It was a lot of fun.
Chanel says it's her favorite. It's so much better than Cracker Jacks. LOL. It is so much better than Cracker Jacks.
It's amazing. And they've got one. They've got a whole cashew version too. So you can get one with the different types of nuts. Then they got the one that's just got the cashews in it. So it's really good.
And it like melts in your mouth. You know what I mean? It's just melts. It's so good.
Excuse me, I'm going to go get some a snack. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I do want to let you know how to get in touch with Joe real quick here. So, and then we're going to talk about Dirty Air. So Joe's website is joecongelfictionstories.blogspot.com. So that's JoeCongelfictionstories.blogspot.com.
.blogspot.com.
Yeah.
And then his Facebook is joe.congel.3. Twitter is Joe Congel Author. And we already said his email in his book giveaway, but I'll say it again. His email is jc.rasman@gmail.com. Yep. Okay. Phew.
I'm exhausted. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
I can't spell, but fortunately I can read. So, and I have spell check. All right, let's get back to your books here. Let me find where I was. Okay, here we go. Yep. Dirty Air. We just started talking about that a little bit.
Well, and it's funny that we got sidebarred with so many foodie kind of things too, because there's a lot of references to that in this book. There's a lot of characters that are eating a lot throughout this book. It's funny because I never really thought about it till it was pointed out to me by a couple people that I had them eating a lot. But it all works. I mean, they're getting together to talk out strategies and different things, and they're doing it over food. So,
well, maybe you should try having a snack while you're eating, while you're writing.
That could be it. Maybe
and then you won't write about it as much.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because some of it is dinners or breakfast. Some of it's just, sitting around having a beer while they're eating pizza. I mean, there's all different types of food references throughout this book.
That's so funny.
It really is, yeah. And it was pointed out to me by a couple people, and I said, well, I didn't realize it, because I do have that same thing in Deadly Passion, but not as much as I did in this one. So
Chanel says, write a recipe in your next book, LOL.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I even actually... Well, even actually, there's one scene in there where Tony's putting together kind of a steak dinner. And, I actually go into a little bit more detail about the marinade and things of that nature that he uses and how he puts it together. So, there's some of that in there.
Yeah,
Makes it
Chanel
kind of fun.
said he writes about
That's
food because
right.
he never eats while writing. LOL.
Right.
Rob agrees with you. He
There
said
you
that's
go.
the point.
Yeah, but as far as the story itself, it centers around two different types of racing. There's NASCAR, which is really, I guess, racing on steroids, as far as I'm concerned, and then there's the illegal street racing aspect, which is also tied into this book a little bit. So
Wow.
yeah, it's there's a NASCAR driver that's killed in the very first chapter, or the very first chapter of the book. So again, I'm not really giving anything away because it happens pretty quick. And then it really focuses on how and why did that happen, and then other things kind of start to happen, other different deaths and different things that kind of tie all to that, and then Tony and his partner Scott McHenry are trying to solve one half of that crime, and then the police are really kind of trying to come at it from a different angle. And so Tony butts heads with Detective John Cahill in this book, which he was introduced in Deadly Passion, and I really enjoyed writing I guess the tension between those characters in Deadly Passion enough where I brought him back into this book too, and he's probably going to be ongoing in the books going forward as well. I think it adds a dynamic to it that makes it a little bit more realistic, with a PI kind of tussling with a detective from the police force, and made for some fun scenes. I thought a little bit of tension here and there made it more enjoyable for me. So.
Oh, cool.
Has it ever surprised you how easily you can write about murder and mayhem?
Not now. It doesn't. No, I mean, I probably have to do less research on how to kill somebody now than I used to, but which sounds odd saying that, but it is interesting how it doesn't affect me. I don't have bad dreams about it. I don't seem to worry about it at all. But it's fun to do. I mean, I enjoy writing about it. So
there is a third type of racing that you didn't touch on, and that would be, I've got to get there before you on the freeway racing.
yeah,
That's Florida drivers.
Yeah, that's Florida drivers, and
yes,
probably just about everywhere else now.
Yeah, it's kind of a different form of street racing, I guess, right there.
Yeah,
But,
it's
Chanel
scary.
said ebooks are her favorite currently with chemo, so she hopes she wins. I hope you win too, Chanel. You can always download both of the wolf packs though for free.
yes,
Right.
you can.
And have many minutes anyway, hours I was going to say. Of,
Well, I think what's nice about downloading those two anthologies right now is that if you haven't had a taste of who Tony Resolito is at all, here's a way to read two different stories that are free. Because they are inside that book. So, he's a little bit more seasoned, obviously, in those two stories than he would be in Dead is Forever, because that kind of takes place after the fact. But it's a great introduction to him and his life and how he goes about his business and solving a crime. So, matter of fact, the one in Howling at the Moon, his girlfriend gets a little bit more involved in how to solve that crime. So that's a fun story. I enjoyed that one. So especially since I based it on my niece, and she really enjoyed that fact. So that was fun.
Chanel said she got Amazon Prime for Christmas from my friend for a year. I'm so blessed. Yeah,
That is
with
awesome.
Amazon Prime, you can download lots of books.
It opens a lot of doors for you.
Yeah, you can download Dirty Air with that right now because that's available that way. So
yeah, most authors I think have their books available that way.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's a fun story for me. It ties two types of racing together that I had to really figure out how to go about writing that, because it really wasn't, again, like I said, anything I was used to writing about. But I got the Charlotte Motor Speedway like 10 minutes from my house. So Yeah, so I could go up there and kind of look around and get an idea of how that was laid out, because there is a scene in there where it takes place over that way, and I wanted to make sure those elements were right, because anybody that's familiar with that speedway would know. Oh wait, that bridge is not in that spot; it's over here. So
Right.
Yeah.
so making sure that I got that right. I went up there to see where these things connected, which entries and all that into the speedway, so that I could get that correct. It was really an enjoyable experience for me, because even though I'm still not probably going to go to a lot of NASCAR races, it was a lot of fun to learn a little bit more about that sport in general, and gave me a respect for something that I didn't have before. I just didn't have a respect for the sport before, because I didn't know a lot about it, and now I do. So,
And the cars on the cover, those are in your garage right now, right?
they are, yes.
You got a chance to get them out, get them washed, cleaned up.
Well, I got two, because I wasn't sure what color I'd want to drive on a daily basis.
That was smart.
Yeah,
that was smart.
Yeah. So, but
Get those cars up.
Yeah, those are Joe's cars, by the way. He doesn't want the license plate to be on there, because
right. Yeah, I took a picture of them in the garage and then animated them to.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
And those are your sunglasses too, I'm sure.
Absolutely, the aviators, my favorite. Yeah. So
Every cop has them, right?
what's it? Oh yeah.
Chanel, I didn't know this, Chanel. Now you're up there freezing in Wisconsin. Chanel grew up in Daytona Beach and know a lot of amazing drivers. My dad owned the Big Pink X Hotel on Daytona Beach back in the 80s. It's gone now, torn down.
Wow.
Oh, that's crazy. Then you know what it's like here in Florida.
A little bit of history there.
Yeah, definitely NASCAR is a southern
it is
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, New York State has a race up there. I mean, Watkins Glen is up that way, but I just never really was a part of that world, and I got into it down here with this book, simply because I couldn't write a series in Charlotte and not touch on that somewhere along the line.
Oh, it's big in Charlotte.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And that racetrack is huge. That's a popular one. It's very popular.
It is, and it makes it difficult at least twice a year for us to get up and down the roads. But outside, it makes
it. Robert.
Yes.
Lots of left turns, he says.
Turn and left. Yep. Absolutely.
Hey, Robert, good to see you here.
But I think it's fun. The nice thing about this story, though, is that whether you're a NASCAR fan or not, I think this is a book that people will enjoy, because it's not necessarily just NASCAR throughout this book. You're not sitting at a race somewhere listening to, what's going on around you there. It really takes place with the people that happen to be in the NASCAR industry. A driving team specifically is who it focuses on, that team. And then some bad guys, will say, that are involved in the illegal street racing part of it, that had a tie to NASCAR long ago. So it's something that I think that, if you're like, oh my God, I don't want to read about NASCAR, that's not really what this book is. It's not NASCAR infused throughout every single page. I mean, it's really a mystery, and it's really, Tony and team trying to figure out what happened throughout the book. And yes, they have to go deal with NASCAR, and they have to deal with the police, and they have to deal with illegal street racing type aspects, and the people that are all involved in all that. But it really could probably be some other theme. It just happens to be NASCAR as the backdrop.
Which makes sense. So it's very localized. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not something that, if you're not a NASCAR fan, you pass on it. I think that it wouldn't matter, as far as enjoying the actual story. So
also there's a lot of eating, a lot of food. Let's not forget.
If you want to, right. If you want to figure out what these guys are into, I mean, I do name a couple of nice places in the Charlotte area. Well, the one thing about having it in Charlotte,
do you name real restaurants in Charlotte?
I have, yes, I did. I named a real pizzeria in Charlotte that's in the book, and actually a couple other places too. There's a breakfast joint they went to, and I named the real place on there and where it's located. I actually like to do that in the books. I did a lot of that type of thing in Deadly Passion as well. Between the two of them, Tony and team are kind of moving around Charlotte. So, I'm using real places, just fictional characters within those places. I will say, though, that in Dirty Air, the team that the NASCAR driver drove for, and the other NASCAR driver that's in the book drives for, is a fictional team, but it is based on a real owner in the Charlotte area. Not the story, but the fact of what it is. Carter Swanson is actually what I use in the book, but it's actually based on somebody that I probably shouldn't just name. But if anybody that's familiar with Charlotte and reads it would know probably who I'm talking about. So,
well, it's funny because in our first book we used a restaurant that I knew quite well in the Chicago area, and I didn't really think anybody would recognize it. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, we had people say, "Oh, that was in my neighborhood."
We used to love to go there.
We used to love to go there, and I'd walk there, and I thought, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." Chanel says NASCAR is a Sunday staple to most Southerners. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would fall asleep lap 16 and wake if you changed the channel instantly. He'd wake up for the last 20 laps. LOL. See who won.
That's funny.
That is funny, but that's true. It is a staple. But
well, it is.
If you get it wrong, your readers will let you know. If you get that NASCAR wrong, that I didn't realize how invested they really were in all the backdrop things that you have to put in to make it a real story. But yeah, I mean, you hear about it a lot.
Oh yeah, and you got to invest your time too if you're a NASCAR fan, because the Coca-Cola 600, which is the big one here, it's a long race that goes on, and you can hear it from my backyard. You can hear it while you're sitting in my living room because it's not that far away. But we also get treated to the fireworks afterwards. So
well, there you go. There's the upside. Huh?
Susan Kite says, "Sounds like my dad with his baseball."
Yeah.
So Joe, before the show, you were talking about some things happening in April about coming up.
Yes.
Would you like to
tell us
what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I mentioned before, the Razzband Chronicles, which is a trio of Tony Razzolito PI stories, PI short stories, is I'm going to run kind of another series alongside of the full books, and that's what this is. So I've got another one that'll be out in April, and it's called Top of the Third, and it's actually going to be three more trio of Tony Razzolito PI short stories, but they're all going to be baseball themed. So it's a little different. It's given me an opportunity to kind of visit back up north a little bit at Cooperstown. I'm actually personally a member of Cooperstown, and not into Cooperstown, but just I have a membership with Cooperstown, so I can go there. But yes, I have a plaque on the wall in Cooperstown.
Wow!
I didn't tell you guys. No, but
no, you didn't.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that. No, but
Susan
I
needs to let her dad know.
I support Cooperstown through a membership that allows me to go in there. But I love it because I'll go up there, at least I try to get up there once a year when I'm visiting family, and I take a day to go to Cooperstown while I'm there. And one of the stories is going to take place in Cooperstown. There's going to be a murder, because that's what I do, somewhere there, and it's going to tie into the Baseball Hall of Fame and all that. So that'll be one of the stories. And then two others. I mean, really what it's going to be is it's going to be the one there, and then there's going to be one that's going to take place at a Little League game around that, and then another one which would be some type of a major league or a minor league ballpark, which I haven't really decided yet. So it's going to be three different types of baseball stories. One that's really, like I said, related to Cooperstown, one that's related to, really kind of backyard baseball and Little League baseball and that kind of thing, and then one that'll be more on a major league or a minor league team level. So it's going to be fun. Yeah.
It's like fun.
I think it will be. And that'll be the second really kind of in that sub-series, if you will, with the three short stories. And again, they'll all somewhat connect together. All from Dead is Forever right up through Top of the Third will all connect together somehow, but at the same time you don't have to read one to read the other. So whatever you feel you want to read is what you can read. I'm excited about this one. I'm gonna the timeline is for April, just because it ties in hopefully to baseball season, opening day kind of thing, which is normally in April, but who knows with the lockout if it'll be pushed back or not. But that's not my book. I'm talking about the baseball season. But yeah.
So due to COVID,
Yeah, because I'm a baseball fan. I had the opportunity this year to go to the World Series, which is the first time I've ever done that.
Wow.
Well, my son actually treated me to the World Series, which I thought was fun. He and I
Nice.
went. Yeah, he and I went. We're not that far from Atlanta, so and it was played in Atlanta this past year. So we went to Game 4 of the World Series in Atlanta and had a great time, and that was something that I've wanted to do forever. And when it became a possibility that, hey, you know what, they're not playing that far away, he treated me to the game, so we both went.
So do you think Tony is going to investigate a murder at the World Series sometime?
That would be cool.
Maybe down the road, that I guess it could happen. I mean, it would be a little different because he'd have to leave Charlotte area, which is not a big deal. He's going to leave the Charlotte area to go to New York State, to go to Cooperstown. So, yeah. Well, he's going. Oh, that's my son. That's
I know.
But we just had
silently watching.
Yes. But we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. The only thing that really shocked me more than anything, because we go to a lot of Atlanta games because it's not that far away, is the difference with having people that were there in line to buy outfits, and buy memorabilia and all these things at the stores, rather than watching the game. People were standing outside in line for hours to get inside the clubhouse store, missing the game that you paid a lot of money to go see because it's the World
Isn't that crazy? So they could go sell the stuff on eBay.
Probably, yeah. It was crazy. That was the thing that he and I brought up a lot. We were like, can you believe this? There's people that are still in line from the last time we came down here to buy a beer or whatever, and they're still in line, and they're missing the whole game. But
it's like the people at Disney standing in line for the popcorn buckets in the shape of Figment.
Right.
7-hour lines. You know how much you pay to get into Disney for a day?
Yeah.
And you're going to stand in line for 7 hours to buy a $25 bucket of popcorn?
Exactly. Well, and that's why my son and I drove up an extra exit before we went to the game and went to a sporting goods store and bought our shirts there. Because they're the same thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have a couple of comments we should get to. Chanel says you should come up for a playoff game this weekend. She's in Wisconsin. You will freeze your nuts off and have poppycock for snacks. And I'm sure she was talking about the nuts in the poppycock.
Of course she is. Yes.
Of course she was.
Yeah. No, that's good. That would be a lot of fun to do. Well, that's kind of on my bucket list too, to go to. I'd like to hit all 30 ballparks eventually.
All stadiums, every stadium.
I would love to do that. I've been to quite a few of them over the years. Over the years, we've gone to weddings, family weddings that were in cities that had major league ballparks. And if the team was home when we were there, we hit a game up. So that's been something that's been fun. But I'd still like to just take a trip where I'm just going across the country and stopping at all those ballparks on the way there.
So James is giving you the title to your new book.
Yeah.
The October Murders.
Well,
the World Series Murders.
There you go.
Yeah.
It would work.
It definitely would work.
Yeah.
But so that, anyways, those three stories are going to be, like I said, baseball related, but it's going to be mysteries. It's going to be Tony Razzolito doing his thing. He actually, in the first one in Cooperstown, he's actually up there visiting family, and he and his brother go to Cooperstown for a visit, and then that's kind of where all the stuff happens while they just happen to be there when this takes place. So
Chanel says Limbaugh is a must for anyone who likes football. The Brew News Stadium is amazing.
Yeah.
So we like football.
Yeah.
Of course, right now we're winning a lot here in Tampa Bay, so we like it better than we did for the last 25 years.
Yeah, they're calling it Champa Bay here.
Champa Bay.
Oh, nice.
Well, the Lightning won twice years, and we won football last year, and trying to do it again this year.
Yeah. Well, you got a good quarterback now, so.
Son of a gun, don't we, though? I'm from Boston originally, so.
Okay.
and that's why he moved down here. Was
he heard I lived here.
They heard
Hey,
that.
Joel's in Tampa Bay, right? We need to get
Yeah.
down there.
We gotta go
Let's
down
go. Right? Yeah,
You'll have someone to cheer for.
exactly.
It
Oh,
has
my
nothing
goodness.
to do with money or
Yeah.
the fact that it's sunny and warm here and a good place to retire. So
No. Well, except for lately, you did dip into the 70s, so he might.
Oh, I
want to.
know. That. Don't say that too much. It's
Yeah.
going to ruin our reputation.
Terrible. Yeah, it'd be terrible.
So,
But-
well, I think we're coming up pretty close. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about, Joe?
oh
I'm
gosh,
just
guys,
surprised
it's
it's been an
already
hour
begun.
already.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I would like to thank everybody that's had a lot of patience with Dirty Air coming out. It's been promised several times over the last couple of years from me, and it just didn't happen for a lot of various reasons. So for those that have patiently waited, I thank you, for not giving up on me on that, because it was, like I said, a labor of love and hate all at the same time. And going forward at this year, I'm going to have out, like I said, top of the third will be out in April, and then I'll start the next project after that with if everything goes the way I want it to, that should be out by the end of the year, which I'm not ready to talk about or name quite yet, but that's really kind of the plan for going forward. So I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
Hopefully
Sounds
a better year for everyone, with everything.
We'll keep our eyes open
From
in
your
April.
lips to God's ears.
Yes,
Please.
absolutely.
Better year.
We'll keep our eyes open in April for your new stuff, and everyone go out and go ahead and enter the contest or enter this drawing here tonight. And if you don't win, go ahead and buy the book anyway. It's going to be good.
Absolutely.
Got to be good.
I agree.
I think I want to get it.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Joe. We do
Absolutely. My
appreciate,
pleasure. It's fun.
You joining us, and I think we're going to push you
Okay.
over.
This way.
There you
No,
go.
this way.
Whichever way it is. Every which way but loose.
No, I would know.
Right? We would think so.
Yes.
But okay. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been another good time here tonight. And we got a couple. Do you have anything you would like to mention at all?
Well, I kind of like people to know that our anniversary is coming up.
Our anniversary show? Yeah.
Yep. We'll have an anniversary show on February 23rd.
February 23rd. And here we go. We got five authors, 5 guests, and a bunch of giveaways, at least 5 and maybe 7. We're going to have books and merchandise that we're giving away. So it's going to be a fun time. Mark your calendar, Wednesday, February 23rd. April 6th, we've got another event coming up, a little diversion from the normal one author shows. April 6th, we're going to have the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles Reveal show. That's going to be the first 3 books in that Crime Chronicles, Magnolia Bluff. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer. But
Chanel says, woohoo. Yeah, it's really going to be fun. There's going to be
Yeah.
lots of giveaways, and it will be, I think, lots of fun.
Right. So I can't believe we've been doing this for a year now.
Almost
so that's
a year.
really awesome.
Well, it'll be February 23rd, as I said.
Yep, February 23rd, and that'll be episode 46. So, okay. So I guess with that, we don't have anything else to say. So until next time,
That's all, folks.
good night.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.